Money runs the world. It buys freedom, security, and opportunities. But it also fuels some of the biggest scams and frauds in history. Every day, people lose their life savings, fall for too good to be true promises, or get tricked by schemes that seem legit. And here's the scary part. The scammers are learning and getting smarter. Earning money is important, but knowing how to keep it safe is even more crucial. From Ponzi schemes to online fraud, the dark side of money is everywhere. So, how do you protect yourself? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to spot and avoid financial traps. Unlike today, money wasn't always the center of everything. In the old days, people lived simpler lives. They bartered or traded things like grains, livestock, and handmade goods. If you wanted something, you just swapped it with what you had. There was no need for cash or coins. If you had food or a useful skill, that was your wealth. Life wasn't tied up in paper or numbers. It was about resources you could see and touch. Ah, the good times. But as societies grew, so did the need for a system that made trade easier. That's when money entered the picture. Early money was coins. Then the paper was created as a tool to exchange goods more smoothly. It was simple. A way to make sure you got what you needed in return for what you offered. At that point, money was just a convenience, not a thing people obsessed over. You worked for your money, you bought what you needed, and you carried on. Somewhere along the way, though, money became so much more than just a tool. It started symbolizing something bigger: success, security, and most importantly, power. We started measuring our worth not just by the things we could trade or the food on our table, but by how much we could accumulate. A bigger house, a nicer car, the latest gadgets. Suddenly, money wasn't just a way to survive. It became the way we defined ourselves. Now, money is everywhere. It's tied to our identities, our dreams, and our ambitions. We don't just want to be comfortable, we want to be wealthy. It's not even about survival anymore. Money is about status and influence. And while we might pretend it's just a means to an end, in reality, many of us live with the constant pressure to chase after more. So, do we control money, or does money control us? Because, as the rich keep chasing after more, it's clear that even having enough isn't enough. We've made money too important, and maybe it's time to stop letting it define us. We're so obsessed with it that it becomes the measuring stick for everything. And guess what happens when that obsession gets out of hand? That's right, everything wrong that you can think about. This makes people start doing some really questionable stuff to get their hands on it. I mean, what better way to make a quick buck than to trick someone else into giving it to you? And that's done through scams and frauds. Now, I'm not saying everyone with a money obsession turns to a life of crime, but the lure of easy wealth often leads people to cross the line. The truth is that scams prey on the very things we've discussed: our desire for wealth, status, and security. And that's where psychology comes into play. It's not just about taking money. It's about exploiting the mental shortcuts people use when chasing that elusive dream of easy riches. The psychology behind scams. The psychology behind scams is a fascinating mix of human emotions and cognitive biases that many times work in favor of the fraudsters. Our brains are wired to make decisions quickly, in the moment. And this is sometimes driven by emotion rather than logic. When it comes to money, that wiring can work against us, making us especially vulnerable to scammers. You know, scams are everywhere these days: emails, phone calls, even social media. But have you ever wondered why they work so well? It's not just about the scammers being clever, it's also because of how quickly people fall victim. First, think about emotions like greed, fear, and the desire for quick success. These are powerful drivers, and scammers know exactly how to push those buttons. Greed makes us dream of easy money, like that email promising you $1 million if you just send a small fee. We all want to have that extra bit of cash to spend on the things we want. Maybe a new designer bag, or a beach vacation, or even to be able to pay next month's rent. Scammers know this need and play with their minds to manipulate it into spending their money for a promise to give back more in return. Fear, on the other hand, can make us act irrationally, like when someone calls pretending to be the IRS, threatening legal action unless you pay immediately. Another way is the grandparent scams or family emergency scams. They prey on our deepest emotions, love, and fear. Imagine getting a call from someone claiming to be your grandchild or close friend, saying they're in trouble and need money urgently. Their voice might even sound familiar thanks to voice mimicking technology. In a panic, you might share your ATM password or send cash to an account, but in the end, you realize that you've been played. These fraudsters exploit our instinct to protect loved ones, making us act before we think. And because you willingly gave away that money yourself, there's little that you can do about it to get it back. And that desire to get more money is the biggest culprit. It's why so many people fall for get-rich-quick schemes, even when they sound too good to be true. We all want to believe in shortcuts, don't we? But like many victims will say, look for the red flags and do not ignore them. Sometimes they are in plain sight, but our greed takes over and we ignore logic, thinking, what if this is real? So tell me, how many times is it real? Deep dive into infamous financial scams. Ponzi schemes. A Ponzi scheme is basically the financial equivalent of robbing Peter to pay Paul, except the guy running the show. The scammer is pocketing a chunk of the money while pretending everything is fine. In simple terms, the early investors of a Ponzi scheme get paid with the money from newer investors, not from actual profits. There's no real business, no real revenue, just a giant loop of taking money from one person to pay another. And as long as new money keeps coming in, it all looks like a fantastic high-return investment. The problem is that eventually, the house of cards collapses. New investors stop rolling in, withdrawals pile up, and suddenly, the scammer can't keep up the illusion anymore. And when that happens, chaos, lawsuits, and people realizing their investment was just a big fat lie. And most of the time, the scammers have already set up their escape plan in place. They steal people's money and vanish from the scene before you can report it to law enforcement and get them behind bars. These people have connections everywhere and partner up with people that run the system. When everyone is getting a share of the looted money, no one's going to get caught, and the scam goes on. Now, let's talk about the biggest Ponzi scheme in history, Bernie Madoff's multi-billion-dollar disaster. This guy was basically Wall Street royalty, running a scam so massive that even seasoned investors were fooled. He built a reputation as a financial genius, promising steady, consistent returns, something that should have been a red flag because, let's be real, the stock market doesn't work that way. His scam ran for over 40 years, defrauding investors of around $65 billion. Yes, billion with a B. Then came 2008. The financial crisis hit, and investors wanted to cash out, but there was no money because, surprise, it was never really invested. Madoff confessed to his sons who turned him in, and just like that, the illusion shattered. He was sentenced to 150 years in prison, and thousands of investors, charities, pension funds, and everyday people lost everything. But Madoff wasn't the first. The original scam was pulled off by Charles Ponzi in the 1920s, promising crazy returns on postal coupons. Yes, that is the man who gave his name to the infamous Ponzi scheme. Born in Italy in 1882, Ponzi immigrated to the United States, where he devised a plan to exploit international postal reply coupons. He promised investors a 50% profit within 45 days or a 100% return in 90 days, claiming he could buy discounted postal reply coupons in other countries and redeem them at face value in the US, leveraging currency exchange rates for profit. In reality, Ponzi never engaged in the large-scale trading of these coupons. Instead, he used funds from new investors to pay returns to earlier investors, creating the illusion of a profitable enterprise. At the peak of his scheme, Ponzi was raking in about $1 million a week. However, the scheme's unsustainable nature led to its collapse in 1920, when the flow of new investments couldn't keep up with the promised returns. Investigations revealed that Ponzi had defrauded investors of approximately $20 million, equivalent to over $250 million today. He was arrested, tried, and sentenced to prison, leaving thousands of investors penniless and cementing his legacy as the namesake of the Ponzi scheme. So if someone promises you sky-high returns with zero risk, run. That's Ponzi Scheme 101. These scams thrive on luring people in with too good to be true promises. And guess what? If it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. The biggest in-your-face red flag is a guarantee of high returns. No legitimate investment in the world can promise steady, unrealistically high profits. Markets go up and down, and businesses face risks, but somehow, Ponzi schemes claim to defy reality. Madoff did it, Ponzi himself did it, and scammers today still use the same trick. Then there's the mystery factor. Ever notice how real investment firms have clear strategies and detailed explanations? Ponzi schemes, on the other hand, keep things vague. Ask too many questions, and you'll either get a bunch of confusing jargon or be told it's a proprietary secret. If they can't explain exactly how the money is being made, that's because it isn't. Another classic red flag? Recruitment pressure. Real investments don't need you to bring in your cousin, neighbor, or gym buddy to keep the money flowing. If you're being pushed to recruit others, congratulations, you're not in an investment, you're in a glorified pyramid scheme. And let's talk about withdrawal issues. At first, Ponzi schemes pay out smoothly. Gotta build trust, right? But once things start unraveling, suddenly there are delays, technical issues, or new conditions for cashing out. By the time you realize something's wrong, your money is long gone. Phishing and online fraud. Phishing is like the digital version of a con artist sweet-talking their way into your wallet, except now it's your passwords, credit card details, and personal info thereafter. Scammers send emails, texts, or fake websites that look just real enough to fool people into handing over sensitive data. Do you know those "your account has been locked, click here to fix it" emails? Yeah, that's phishing in action. But the scary thing is that phishing has leveled up big time. Back in the day, phishing emails were full of typos, weird formatting, and some sketchy prints offering you millions. Now, they're polished, professional, and terrifyingly convincing. They can even mimic official companies, banks, and government agencies perfectly. And it's not just emails anymore. Spear phishing is next-level targeting, where scammers customize their attack just for you. They might use your name, job title, or even info from your social media to make it seem totally legit. They will address you by name, offer you an invoice you requested, and ask you to log in to confirm. And that's about it. Boom, your data will have been stolen. Smishing is where scammers send fake texts pretending to be your bank, delivery service, or even your boss. Your package is delayed, click here to reschedule, or unusual activity detected on your account. Verify now. One tap, and they've got you. It's even moved to voice phishing, where scammers call you, pretending to be tech support, the IRS, or your credit card company. If you've ever had an urgent call telling you that your computer is infected or your social security number is suspended, that's a scam. And with AI on the rise, phishing is getting even scarier. Deepfake voices, hyper-personalized messages, and chatbots that sound human make it harder to tell what's real. Phishing isn't just some minor inconvenience, it's a billion-dollar problem. In 2023 alone, phishing scams cost victims over $50 billion worldwide in fraud losses. And you know what? Even tech-savvy people fall for it. In 2020, Twitter was hacked using a spear phishing attack that tricked employees into revealing internal credentials. The scammers took over 130 accounts, including high-profile ones like Elon Musk and Joe Biden, and posted fake Bitcoin giveaways. If that can happen to Twitter's own staff, no one is safe. Then there's the infamous Google and Facebook phishing scam. Between 2013 and 2015, a Lithuanian scammer tricked both companies into wiring him over $100 million by posing as a real vendor. He sent fake invoices that looked identical to the real ones, and no one noticed until it was too late. So, how do you spot a phishing attempt before it drains your bank account? First, check the sender's email address. Scammers love using addresses that look right, but have small differences, like @applesecurity.com instead of @apple.com. One tiny letter off, and you're in trouble. Then there's the language. Phishing emails often sound urgent, pushy, or even threatening. Your account will be permanently suspended unless you act now. Real companies don't talk like that. Mismatched URLs are another dead giveaway. Hover over a link without clicking, and if it shows something totally different from what you expect, don't even think about opening it. And if there's an unexpected attachment, huge red flag. Legitimate businesses don't randomly send you files to download. The truth is that phishing is a numbers game. Scammers send out millions of fake messages, hoping just a tiny fraction of people take the bait. But with AI making their tactics even more convincing, it's easier than ever to fall for one. Pump and dump schemes. A pump and dump scheme is a form of market manipulation where fraudsters artificially inflate the price of a stock or cryptocurrency, which is called pumping, and then sell off their massive holdings at the heightened price. It all starts with selecting a low-value asset, often a little-known stock or cryptocurrency with low liquidity. Then, the scammers start a marketing frenzy, flooding social media, forums, and online communities with exaggerated claims, fake endorsements, and false promises of massive profits. As more people buy into the hype, the price skyrockets. But the moment enough people have invested, the fraudsters sell off their holdings, causing the price to crash and leaving those who bought in late with massive losses. So if they held, let's say, 100,000 shares or coins and pumped its price from $0.1 to $1, now they have $1 million. All they need to do is sell off every share and pocket all that money, leaving unsuspecting investors with significant losses. This tactic has been around for ages in the stock market, but has found new life in the crypto world due to the lack of regulation and the ease of spreading hype online. One of the most infamous examples in traditional markets was the Wolf of Wall Street era penny stock scams, where boiler room operators cold-called unsuspecting investors and convinced them to buy stocks that were being artificially inflated. In crypto, this tactic has evolved into organized pump and dump groups on platforms like Telegram and Discord. For example, in 2022, reports showed that nearly 24% of newly launched crypto tokens displayed characteristics of pump and dump schemes, with millions of dollars wiped out in minutes. Even authorities have started taking action. In 2024, the FBI launched an operation called Token Mirrors, where they created a fake cryptocurrency called NextFund AI to bait and catch scammers involved in market manipulation. The sting led to the arrest of 18 individuals and the seizure of over $25 million in fraudulent crypto profits. The problem with pump and dump schemes is that they prey on human greed and FOMO. When people see an asset skyrocketing, they feel like they're missing an opportunity right in front of them, and they jump in without proper research. But the truth is, if an asset's price is rising too fast without a solid reason, there's a good chance it's a setup. Being skeptical, doing thorough research, and not blindly following online hype can help protect against these scams. In January 2025, then President-elect Donald Trump launched the Dollar Trump meme coin, which quickly generated nearly $100 million in trading fees within 2 weeks. Initially, the coin's value surged, reaching a high of $75.35, but it soon experienced a significant decline, dropping by 2/3 in value. While large investors profited substantially, approximately 200,000 smaller crypto wallets experienced losses. Pyramid schemes versus MLMs. Multi-level marketing and pyramid schemes can look similar on the surface, but they operate in completely different ways. In a legitimate MLM, you're basically in a business where you sell real products or services to people. The main way you make money is by selling stuff, whether it's beauty products, wellness supplements, or kitchen gadgets. But there's also a recruitment element. You can bring in new people, and if they make sales, you get a cut of their earnings too. However, at the end of the day, your income still depends heavily on actual product sales. Some big brands like Tupperware, Mary Kay, or Avon have been around for decades because they focus on offering real, tangible products that people want. So, if you're good at selling, you can make good money, but it's all about how many products you can move. Now, let's talk about pyramid schemes. These are a whole different animal. In a pyramid scheme, the primary way to make money isn't by selling products. It's by getting more people to sign up and pay fees to join. Those new recruits then do the same, paying money to the person who got them in, and so on. There's often a so-called product that's just a cover-up, but the truth is, it's mostly about recruitment. The people at the top of the pyramid make most of the money, while the ones at the bottom usually lose out, because it depends on an endless stream of new recruits. Pyramid schemes inevitably collapse when there's no one left to recruit, leaving a lot of people high and dry. So, the key difference is in an MLM, income comes from selling real products, while in a pyramid scheme, Money comes from recruiting new people. If a business feels like it's more about getting people to join than selling something actual, that's a big red flag. And if you're being pressured to recruit people instead of focusing on sales, you might want to rethink getting involved. How to identify and protect against fraud. So, folks, it's time to really think before you step into any financial activity, and I'm going to help you how to do that. 1. Keep your software up to date. One of the simplest yet most effective ways to protect against fraud is to ensure your device software is always up to date. Software updates often include security patches that fix vulnerabilities that hackers can exploit. Whether it's your operating system, antivirus software, or apps, make sure to enable automatic updates so you don't miss critical patches. Skipping updates could leave your devices open to malware or phishing attacks, so don't delay when you are prompted to update. 2. Use strong passwords and enable two-factor authentication. A strong password is your first line of defense against hackers. Avoid common passwords like your birth date or the names of your loved ones, and instead create a unique mix of uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and symbols. A password manager can help keep track of them. Additionally, enabling two-factor authentication adds an extra layer of security. Even if someone steals your password, they won't be able to access your accounts without a second form of authentication, like a text code or app prompt. 3. Be cautious with unsolicited communications. Fraudsters often reach out via unsolicited emails, texts, or phone calls in an attempt to steal your personal information. If you didn't request a communication, don't respond immediately. Be skeptical, even if it looks like too much. It will somehow save you from getting scammed. Ask questions and research before answering an email with your credentials. Way too many people fall victim to this. 4. Monitor your financial statements regularly. Keeping an eye on your bank and credit card statements is key to spotting fraud early. Check for unfamiliar charges or any transactions you don't recognize. Many banks offer alerts for suspicious activity, so take advantage of them. If you notice anything unusual, report it immediately. The sooner you catch fraudulent transactions, the better chance you have of minimizing damage. Regular monitoring also helps you stay on top of your spending habits, making it easier to spot potential issues. 5. Shred sensitive documents. Identity theft often starts with personal documents. Avoid throwing away paper bills, bank statements, or credit card offers without shredding them first. Even old documents with your name and address can be used by fraudsters to steal your identity. You can get a paper shredder and make it a habit to destroy anything that contains personal or financial information. It's an easy and affordable way to prevent fraud and protect yourself from having your sensitive data exposed. 6. Educate yourself. And finally, no amount of education is going to be enough. You have to stay updated. Staying informed about the latest fraud tactics is a powerful defense against scams. Scammers constantly evolve their methods, so it's crucial to keep up with trends in phishing, identity theft, and other fraudulent schemes. Follow trusted news sources or websites that track common scams, and share this knowledge with others. The more aware you are of how fraudsters operate, the less likely you are to fall for their tricks. Knowledge is a key weapon in protecting yourself from financial harm. 7. How to avoid offline scams. Be cautious when dealing with door-to-door salespeople or unexpected callers, especially if they demand payment upfront or promise deals that seem too good to be true. Always verify credentials when hiring contractors, whether for home repairs or services. Don't just rely on a handshake. If anyone pressures you for an immediate decision, take a step back. Watch out for suspicious investment opportunities and thoroughly check the legitimacy of any business offering them. Finally, securely store your personal documents and avoid sharing sensitive information with unfamiliar people in person. So folks, we are really on our own, and as adults, we need to be able to safeguard our hard-earned money ourselves. So stay curious and stay informed because it's your best defense. Knowledge is the one thing fraudsters can't steal, so arm yourself with it. Remember, it's not just about protecting your money, but your peace of mind too. If you liked the video, hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more interesting videos. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you soon in another one.